Welcome to Module Number 2, Information and Research Fluency and Presentation Best Practices. By the end of the module, learners will be able to comprehend how Internet searching functions, compare and contrast reliable research results from biased, non-supported sources, define information fluency, research a technology and schools-related topic, and construct a research presentation communicating research findings and supporting their hypothesis. Please take a moment and answer the following question. Why is educational research so important for future or employed teachers? In the context of the debate about what works and why, there is a wide range of benefits to researching your own practice, whether directly feeding into improvement through action research or, more broadly, gaining understanding and knowledge on themes of interest and relevance. This is why research is embedded into initial teacher education. As research becomes embedded in your practice, you can gain a range of benefits. Research can help you find solutions to particular problems arising in your classroom or school. They can underpin professional learning of knowledge, skills, and understanding. They can connect you with sources of information and networks of professional support. They can also clarify purposes, processes, and priorities when introducing change, for example, to curriculum, pedagogy, or assessment. Improve understanding of your professional and policy context, organizationally, locally, and nationally, enabling you to teach and lead more strategically and effectively. Develop your agency, influence, self-efficacy, and voice within your own school and more widely within the profession. Each of these can improve and involve investigation using evidence from your own setting, along with wider research evidence. For this course, you'll be conducting your own research into a technology-related topic involving schools or learning. This is meant to be a very broad statement because your topic may involve a hot topic, interest, passion, or an area you just do not know a lot about. Instead of a traditional research paper, you will craft your research and findings into a presentation using PowerPoint, Google Slides, or even a Prezi if you'd like. Here are a list of some potential topics. They aren't research questions, but they are topics that may spark a personal interest. Is there a topic not mentioned on this list that interests you instead? You can use that one then. Educational laws such as FERPA, COPA, CIPA, copyright, fair use, IDEA, censorship, plagiarism, or acceptable use policies. Hot topics such as social networking, cyberbullying, the gender gap, the digital divide, cell phones in schools, or bring your own devices. Instructional ones, such as teaching with the internet in any content area such as math or social studies or science. Web quests, assistive or adaptive technology, universal design for learning, or online learning. Think about your topic. Keep it handy for after the next section of the module. Conducting effective online research requires several skills and areas of knowledge. Knowing which tools are available, how they work, and how to use them will aid you in your online research. This presentation explains several web search tools, how search engine results work, and how to use search terms most effectively. The presentation also offers strategies for what to do with online search results once you have them, how to evaluate sources to determine whether they are appropriate for a given project. Searching online is a process that may take numerous attempts to find what you are looking for. When searching, try to define and narrow topics, identify topic concepts, generate keywords such as synonyms to use in searches, devise possible searches using syntax, use more than one search tool, and also evaluate results. Online research can be incredibly helpful and convenient. It can bring you large amounts of information in a very short amount of time and can often be done from the comfort of a personal computer. However, large amounts of information can be frustrating to sift through. Additionally, though, doing online research online can result in finding large amounts of content, it is important to recognize that the internet does not contain all the information in the world, and online search tools like search engines do not search even all the content on the internet. A wise online researcher realizes that there is potentially helpful information that is not available through search engines. Knowing the potential pitfalls of online research will also help online researchers to develop strategies to avoid these pitfalls and work with the limitations of online research. Let's start with an exploration of some of the pitfalls of using the internet for finding information. For the sake of your presentation and for your children and your students and their future experiences online. Macedonia. In the final weeks of the U.S. presidential election, Vels attained a weird infamy in the most powerful nation on earth. Stories in The Guardian and on BuzzFeed revealed that the Macedonian town of 55,000 people, Vels, was the registered home of at least 100 pro-Trump websites, many of them filled with sensationalist, utterly fake news. Such as the imminent criminal indictment of Hillary Clinton was a popular theme. Another was the Pope's approval for Trump. The site's ample traffic was rewarded handsomely by automated advertising engines like Google's AdSense. Within Vels itself, young teenage entrepreneurs behind these websites became subjects of tantalizing intrigue. Between August and November, one youth earned nearly $16,000 off his two pro-Trump websites. The average monthly salary in Macedonia is $371. These young teenagers simply copied, pasted, and shared thousands of sensational articles read by millions of Americans to make money. And they did. I wonder how many people were persuaded by their fake news. In 1957, the BBC show Panorama broadcasted a program about the spaghetti tree in Switzerland. It showed a family harvesting pasta that hung from the branches of the tree. After watching the program, hundreds of people phoned in asking how they could grow their own tree. Alas, it was an April Fool's Day joke. Osama bin Laden's death resulted in millions of bin Laden related tweets every hour on Twitter. Thousands of those related tweets included a powerful quote attributed to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Please take a moment and read it. A Facebook user, a 24-year-old Penn State graduate who now teaches English to middle schoolers in Japan, posted a very timely and moving thought on her Facebook status, and then followed it up with the Martin Luther King Jr. quote. The misinformation was not intentional, just a simple message changed throughout reposts. Let's stick with our discussion about Dr. King for just a few more minutes. MartinLutherKing.org, a true historical examination, is a site ostensibly about the great civil rights leader, where you learn that he was a drunken, philandering, communist, wife-beater, plagiarist, sexual deviant, and all-around fraud. There's even an educational video and even a flyer students can download and take to school that advocates the abolishment of Martin Luther King Jr. Day. It's only if you scroll down to the bottom of the home page that you see that the web page is hosted by Stormfront, otherwise known as the White Nationalist Party, which I am proud to report is now inactive, although the Dr. King site is still active. It's only then that you begin to understand the perspective MartinLutherKing.org is coming from. Our students need to be skeptics and understand that while this technology is enabling, it is often filled with misinformation, slanted by bias, mistakes, and outdated information. Here is a great website to test students with. The Pacific Northwest tree octopus has been a great lesson for media literacy classes for years. You come to find out that the octopus is fake. Here is a quick checklist to critically analyze a source. Is it clear who wrote the information? For instance, you could check it out or check out the author in Google. Is the site's information clearly presented? Is the site's information current? Is the site biased in any way? And who links to this site? Three of the most common online search tools are search engines, web directories, and meta search engines. Of these, search engines are the most well known. A search engine, such as Google, consists of software that crawls the internet, storing information about websites based on keywords and other information. A user enters a keyword or search phrase into the search engine interface, and the search engine retrieves relevant results based on the entered keywords. Web directories are compilations of sites listed by topical categories. They can help a user move from a general area of interest to a more specific topic and eventually website. For example, a user of the Open Directory project at dmoz.org could click on recreation, then food, and then cheese, which would lead the user to a page that listed websites about cheese. A meta search engine is a search engine that searches multiple search engines. When a user types a keyword into a meta search engines, the engine lists results from many different search engines. Search engines do not necessarily list the best results first. In fact, they couldn't, because different people are looking for different types of things when they enter keywords into search engines. Which pages search engines list and the order in which they are listed is based on a number of factors, including the amount of information on the site, the number of other sites that link to it, the number of people who select that link when searching, the length of time that the site has been listed in the search engine database, and the code of the site. Because each search engine is coded differently and told to follow different rules for retrieving and listing, different search engines might return different results in a different order. This is why it's often a good idea to try a search in multiple search engines. You might find something using one search engine that another one missed. Some search engines also include results that are paid advertising, so it's wise to look at the results carefully to determine which results are normal and which are paid results. When conducting a search online, it pays to be creative. Before you start, you might consider brainstorming about words and phrases that could be associated with your project. You might also consider making a list of different kinds of information that might be helpful to your project. For example, you might need information about the number of dining halls in the United States, as well as nutritional information about the food served in dining halls. These two angles would probably need at least two different searches. Because you will most likely find a large volume of information, it's a good idea to keep notes or bookmarks of sites that seem particularly helpful. When going through pages and pages of results, it's easy to forget which pages were the most helpful. Boolean operators are useful for tailoring search terms to get the type of results you want. Boolean operators are one-word connectors that are placed between keywords or phrases in a search. Using AND, we'll find pages that include all the search terms used. Or we'll find pages that include at least one of the search terms. Not excludes pages that include the second phrase listed. Most search engines have more advanced search options in addition to Boolean operators, so keep your eye open for advanced search options in the search engines you use. Here's a quick cheat sheet for simple and Boolean operators. It's important to observe the site's purpose that you're visiting. But how do you figure out who is responsible for a website or what its purpose is? Sometimes figuring these things out can be tricky because websites can be misleading about their purpose. Take several moments to carefully look over a site. Don't take what any site says at face value. Some strategies include: pay attention to the tone and the kind of language used. Is it informal? Is it exaggerated or sensational? What kind of assumptions does the page make? Does the site seem to be selling something? Is the site trying to convince users to adopt a certain opinion? Look for a copyright notice, usually found at the bottom of the page. What other sites does the site in question link to? Wikipedia articles often come up as one of the first results in a search engine for many topics. Instructors differ about whether Wikipedia is a valid source that can be cited, so make sure you know your instructor's policies. Although Wikipedia may not be fully accepted as a citable source in academic projects, it can still be a useful online resource tool. It can be helpful for getting a general overview of a topic that can then guide later research. It can also be helpful when generating ideas and angles on a topic that you might not have been aware of. Most Wikipedia articles also contain extensive sources and external links at the end of the article. Even if you cannot cite a Wikipedia article, the bibliography and external links at the end might lead you to a source that might be helpful to your project and considered acceptable for academic projects. The Google Advanced Search feature is helpful to refine search queries and results. It has built-in phrase searching that resembles simple and Boolean operators. Advanced Search also has language filters. You can pick the language of the page, region by country when the page was last updated, and a safe search filter for appropriate content. Please note the safe search feature is not perfect, but is helpful to protect from overly inappropriate web content. Here's the advanced feature interface. A nifty trick to find resources is to use the file type search feature to find presentations in PowerPoint form or worksheets in doc or PDF format. Then the feature will only return back those file types in your search. Try searching for a PowerPoint on the Civil War, or a worksheet on area and perimeter as a PDF or a .doc doc. To help find more scholarly resources, Google Scholar allows searchers to find academic content. This is a wonderful search tool for your research topic. Google Scholar also has an advanced search feature option. The Loyola Notre Dame Library has access to hundreds of online resources. You can find resources for your subject by simply searching the online catalog. You will need to log in using your login credentials. If you need help, please call the library at 410-617-6802. The library staff have curated resources for the School of Education students at http://guides.lndlibrary.org/education. First, the guide curates the most popular education databases, like ERIC and ProQuest. Next, the APA section provides guidance on how to cite content using the APA style. Education uses this style because it is considered a social science. The research proposal is a method to flesh out your research ideas. The first section requires you to create a research question. What is a research question? It is the question around which you center your research. It should be clear. It provides enough specifics that one's audience can easily understand its purpose without needing additional explanation. It should be focused. It is narrow enough that it can be answered thoroughly in the space the writing or the presentation task allows. It should be concise. It is expressed in the fewest possible words. It should be complex. It is not answerable with a simple yes or no, or true or false, but rather requires synthesis and analysis of ideas and sources prior to composing an answer. It should be arguable. Its potential answers are open to debate rather than accepted facts. You should ask a question about an issue that you are generally curious about or passionate about. Here are several education research question examples. Some are clearly written and some are not. For the first one, addressing the harm is showing bias towards social networks. The second statement has neutral language. The second question example is too broad. It will not provide too much and won't truly answer the research question. The second focuses the question down into a context area, for instance, social studies, and an age level, elementary level. The third question again is biased. Keep neutral language and specify age or content area if possible. Generally, the components of a good question include the phenomenon being examined, for instance, like the internet, cell phone use, digital divide, or copyright, the population, for instance, the learner, the teacher, the parents, etc., and the variable, for instance, academic improvement, compliance, time on task, behavior, motivation, and so forth. Think about keywords and synonyms that go with your research topic. Take, for instance, if you use cell phones. Some keywords and synonyms might include smartphones, mobile technology, digital devices, bring your own device, cellular devices, or mobiles. Collect and read research articles, journals, and other sources related to your topic. Use a mixture of peer-reviewed and open source materials to help answer your question. 5 sources at least for the presentation, and record in the Educational Scholarly Journal or web-based source box for your proposal. Record ideas, proof, and reference materials from those sources to add to your presentation. Cite the content in your presentation. Now let's look at the components of an effective presentation to construct your research project. This portion of the presentation provides some best practices for creating and designing presentations. There are several different presentation apps or software. PowerPoint works on both Windows and Macs, Keynote, which works on Mac, Google Docs, which is web-based, and Prezi, which is also web-based. First, there is slide design. Slides shouldn't be overloaded with too much text. The general rule is the 6x6 rule. 6 lines of text per slide, 6 words per line, no complete sentences unless quoting, used bulleted lists when possible, and use consistent parts of speech. For instance, start with all nouns, or all verbs, or all adjectives. For fonts, try to use no more than 2 fonts per slide. Also, use fonts without feet. For instance, Calibri has no feet. However, Times New Roman has feet. Research into color suggests avoid red text. Green backgrounds typically communicate engagement to the viewer. Blue backgrounds are usually conservative in nature. Purple backgrounds or text are typically viewed as trivial, and black and gray neutral. Avoid black text and white backgrounds. It's such an eyesore. Short presentations of 25 slides or so should have the same background unless there's a drastic change in topic. This image slide is meant to communicate pain to the eye. Avoid designs such as this. To control the flow of the presentation, you can create custom animation to allow text to enter on mouse clicks. Images are a great way to enhance your presentation. They should enhance it, but not distract. Do not overload them. Use high-quality images when possible, and respect copyright and provide credit for images used when you find them online. You can always add a credit slide at the very end of the presentation. The notes section is right here, folks. Take advantage of the notes section to add more information or a script for the presentation. You can also print your notes with the slides. It is what I do for the transcript you can download with this presentation. This is going to be very helpful since you will not be presenting this to a crowd